Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Marlo Stoudemire, sitting in for Stephen Henderson. It's no secret that heart disease and stroke are leading causes of death in the African American community. An event next month aims to educate the community and increase the odds of preventing and beating these diseases. September 9th is being designated as a Day of Heart by the American Heart Association and American Stroke Association. The day features short talks given by local leaders, a health expo, and a gospel concert. Here to tell us more is Kristin Hurley, Multicultural Director of Southeastern Michigan's American Heart Association, along with James Young, a survivor of heart disease who now shares his inspiring story with others. Welcome to American Black Journal. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Pretty good.
Good. So we'll get right into it. Kristin, tell us what the events are scheduled for with the Day of Heart. Tell us about that.
Sure, so it's very exciting. This is the first time that we've had an entire Day of Heart. So it's going to start at the DMC Heart Hospital, where we're going to have our Go Red Talks event, which is a really fun idea based on the whole TED Talks concept. So there's going to be some local leaders from the American Heart Association, from the Detroit metropolitan area, all giving short, very powerful talks around what can we be doing to really impact our community around health and all of the risk factors associated with that. So nutrition and urban gardening and physical activity in our community and all of those things. So really powerful discussions around that from folks right in our community as well as some leaders around the country. So as I said, the day's going to start off with that at 8 a.m. at DMC Heart Hospital. And then later in the evening, we have our Most Powerful Voices concert, which is a huge event we're having at Second Ebenezer Church. And it's, we're hoping to have about 3,000 people there, where it's going to feature Marvin Sapp, which is an internationally known gospel artist, big name. So we're very excited to have Marvin. But it's also going to feature videos featuring a stroke survivor. So really bring it home on how a stroke impacts us in our community on a very personal level.
So talk about the Health Expo a little bit and how that benefits the community. I think that's important for people to know.
Absolutely. So the Health Expo is going to have about 20 vendors. We're going to have cooking demonstrations and physical activity. Actually, Zumba we'll have at the Health Expo. And just an opportunity for people to learn about what can I be eating? How can I be cooking these vegetables?
True community engagement.
True community engagement. We're going to have blood pressure screenings, of course, which is very critical, particularly in the African American community. So that will be available for free for folks as well. And this entire event is for free.
So that's good. That's good information. It's actually a good segue to you, James.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that is important is when you can have somebody to give a testimony. And one of the things we know is you have a very inspiring story. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you were able to overcome some of your health issues.
Yes, in my situation, I was a diagnosed person of congestive heart failure in 2011. At that point, my heart rate percentage was at 20% by the time I was admitted to emergency at Beaumont Hospital. With that, I had kidney disease, pneumonia in my lungs, as well as retaining over 80 pounds of fluid in my body, particularly in the lower extremities, my legs and in my midsection area.
Wow. So that was where you started. So going through that process, what did you learn, right? And how did you apply those learnings to make a change for your health and for a better future?
Well, in my particular situation, it was due to diet and lifestyle. I was a heavy smoker. I was a heavy drinker. I spent too many visits to the drive-through at the plethora of fast food businesses that are in our community, and it took a toll on my body. And so I had to make a decision to, one, stop drinking, which I did, stop smoking cigarettes, which I did, as well as modified my diet quite a bit in terms of minimizing to the point of almost eliminating all of the bad foods, such as processed foods and foods that are high in sodium and cholesterol.
So talk really briefly on how you were able to get the motivation. Where did the motivation come from other than staying alive? What were the factors in regards to
Absolutely. Staying alive was definitely the priority at the moment.
Right.
Without question, I had a small window to get my act together. But above that, it really gave me an opportunity while laying in the hospital at Beaumont to reflect on life and reflect on what I was doing to myself. And all these things that I looked at as comforting was actually deteriorating me inside and, in fact, killing me. And so once I realized that, I then just pretty much converted that mindset into saying, well, instead of doing bad things to myself, simply I'm going to start substituting that and doing positive things. And,
So,
you know, as far as diet and so forth.
So like many others, you probably ignored some of the risk factors. And that leads me back to you, Kristin, with regards to some of the risk factors of heart disease and stroke. What are they, and what should people be looking for?
Sure. So luckily, they're pretty much the same. I mean, so you're looking at hypertension is going to be a big risk factor. In fact, that is the number one signifying indicator if you're going to have a heart attack or stroke. Obesity, physical inactivity, the nutrition that we're taking into our body are all going to be critical risk factors. Obviously, our racial makeup can also be an indicator of whether or not we are at greater risk for both a heart attack or heart disease and stroke as well.
Yeah, you know, I used to work in healthcare, and one of the things that the physicians would always talk about are the things that you can control and the things that you cannot control. So what can people do to prevent cardiovascular disease, or at least improve the odds of beating the disease? And this is open to either one of you if you want to jump in.
Sure. Would you like to take this?
I can take the, so one of the big ones I didn't mention is smoking. So not smoking is going to be a big key as well. Self-monitoring your blood pressure is very critically important. So it's the silent killer. So you might not have any idea that your blood pressure is high. So someone really needs to, you know, at least on a weekly basis, it'd be great if you checked it a couple times a week. Just check it at home and monitor what it is. And if it starts to get a little high, anything over 120/80, then make sure you're going into the doctor and get that diagnosis so that you can be treated.
So that's a big thing in the African American community. Get to the doctor. James, talk about how important that is, especially with your family history and your trajectory of your journey.
Absolutely. Getting to the doctor was definitely important in my case. I'm one of those men out there who decided to prolong the situation until it got absolutely to its worst. And so if I could say anything to anyone out there, it would be to go to the doctor regularly. I know we hear that a lot, but it's true. Annual physical is definitely paramount, especially as you get older. And also learning what your family history is in terms of what's chronic in your family, you know. And as I mentioned to you off the site here, is that my father, that's what he did. He put together a spreadsheet of all the immediate family's illnesses and diseases and who died of what. And we would take those spreadsheets to our own personal doctors to put on file, so we'll have a better understanding of what runs in the family.
What runs in the family.
Exactly.
And so, Kristin, one of the things that always comes up is that there's this question of why does cardiovascular disease really affect the African American community disproportionately different than other ethnic groups? What are those factors, and why is that happening?
So I hate to be a broken record, but hypertension, again. African Americans have the highest rates of high blood pressure in the entire world, not just in our city or in the country, but in the entire world. So that it being the number one indicator is very critical as to one of the reasons why African Americans are more likely. And in the case of stroke, we're twice as likely to have a stroke. We have higher death rates from stroke as well. And we also have higher incidences of all of the contributing risk factors, such as obesity and nutrition and things of that nature. So hypertension is the number one, and because of our race, we also have a higher indicator around that as well. But there's so much that we can do.
Right, there is more.
It's very preventable.
Yeah, for example, like telling our story,
Sure.
which leads me to you, James. You know, you were highlighted in Ebony magazine about a year ago.
Yes.
And you also have a chance to educate people in the community around maintaining a healthy lifestyle and how important it is, specifically in the African American community, even though it matters to everyone. You know, why is it important for you to tell this story and for people to be listening?
At the point where my condition actually got better and improved, my personal doctor told me at that point in time, is now I've become responsible. I'm responsible to tell the story because there's so many people who haven't had the opportunity to speak to someone who's overcome the issue of heart disease and know that it's possible through changing your lifestyle and diet, as well as when my father passed away a couple of years ago from congestive heart failure. That then too convicted me much further to want to become more of an advocate and work with the American Heart Association and push the envelope in the issue that heart disease is indeed the number one killer in our community.
Right. That's valuable information. And so Kristin, I'll let you wrap with regards to how people can get more involved and get connected with some of your efforts, how they can get involved in the Day of Heart and moving forward to have a better lifestyle. What were some last points you can make?
Certainly. So we encourage people to join us for a Day of Heart. Check our website out, www.heart.org/semi, SEMI, and you can find information about both events. Join us at 8 a.m. on September 9th for Go Red Talks, and then 5 o'clock for the Health Expo at Second Ebenezer Church for Most Powerful Voices.
Thank you so much, Kristin, and thank you so much, James. We really appreciate it.